All right, so joining us on the podcast today is Shubhan. Excited to have you on today and talk about customer success strategy, kind of from a services point of view and the significance of Gen AI. So really excited to have you on today. For anybody in the audience who isn't familiar with you or your company, if you're able to just give a little bit of an overview about kind of the teams that you manage and what your day-to-day looks like before we hop in.
All right. Firstly, thank you so much for having me here, Sam. A pleasure talking to you and look forward to the discussion. For a company called Axion Labs, the role right now that I'm playing is that of a customer success leader. And my role encompasses talking to a lot of our partners and try to strategize and execute plans for a lot of engineering efforts, which is product engineering, modernization, rationalization of platforms, working with a lot of SaaS clients and things like that. So and that's a lot of things to keep the day busy and keep me on my feet, right? Because it
Yeah.
is, yeah. So that's in a nutshell, that's what I'm doing right now. And yes.
That's great. So how did you get started within your customer success journey? Were you always within the customer success space, or how did that kind of transform over your career?
Yeah. See, if I was talking to you 10 years back, I would have said that I switched now and then. But I think right now, all the teams it must be customer success teams, right? We are all delivering values for customer success. So there is no switch as such. But yes, talking about my career growth and the career graph, the way it has been over the last couple of decades, I started as a business analyst and I have been working across stakeholders across multiple geographies. And from the days when we used to write 100 pages of PRD to the days when we don't have a single liner requirement as well, right? So I've seen all those years. But of course, whether it was 100 pages of PRDs or whether it is a couple of lines of requirements, I think the clarity and the value that we add by talking to customers, right? By talking to our partners, empathizing with them, understanding, okay, this is what is the ask. And for me, that is the definition of customer success. If the value that we deliver equates to the ask, right? So I've been working in that capacity for quite some time now. But yes, for this role change, it happened almost a year back that I officially moved to this role. Prior to this, I was leading delivery teams and again working very closely with customers. But yes, I was a part of the delivery team in different roles and capacity: project manager, product manager, program manager, business analyst, and yeah, things like that.
Definitely. So were you before working pretty closely with the professional services and like implementation teams?
Oh yes, yes. I work very closely with professional services team who directly interacted with customers, understand, and again, because it is the front facing team, right, with the customers. So I work very closely with them, the pods that we make for each of the groups of the customers and things like that. So yes, I've been a part of professional services team quite some.
That's great. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate the intro. Just wanted to kind of dive into a couple questions here and just to kind of start off with a more kind of generalized question about how things are changing within the customer experience space most recently. So just in this past year, what shifts do you think there have been that are maybe here to stay versus just passing trends?
Yeah. So as I just told, right, if things were 10 years back, I would have a lot to talk about the switch. But yes, of course, last couple of years, I would say has seen, especially from the way I have been working, right? So it's a personal experience. It has changed a lot. There has been transformation, not even in digital world, but also in the process and the customer engagement and success equations. I would rather say that any engagement is now moved from transactional, mundane set of activities to a more co-creation of values and co-ownership of values with business values. So that is some shift that we've seen, especially last couple of years. And I think there are no longer roles. I'm not talking about designations, but no longer roles like managers or customer success leaders. I think the role is now more become that of an orchestrator, because we are now dealing with multiple groups of customers and stakeholders, and then each one of them have the good thing is that every group has interrelated goals and values, but still the priorities are conflicting, right? So in order for a business outcome to happen, for us to meet our goals, for our customers to meet our goal, I think we need to understand, prioritize, sit with each of these groups that often work in silos, and try to orchestrate the value creation across all these groups. So that is something I think has drastically changed over last couple of years, because it is not just okay, we land and expand and you give me a set of things and then we can just go ahead with it. It is more of designing of the landscape, strategizing with your customers. So that's where the transformation has happened for the good. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I think these are interesting times. It is very agile, very dynamic in nature.
Definitely. Do you think roles recently have been blending together more and more? I know that you mentioned there's no longer necessarily managers, but more so orchestrators. So I guess something that I've been hearing most recently is professional services teams are kind of blending together now with customer success teams. Sometimes support teams are blending together a little bit more with engineering and QA. How do you see that in your perspective?
Yeah, that's right. See, again, like I said, the alignment has actually optimized, I would say, with all the latest shift in the industry and in the technology world, especially with Gen AI and AI coming into picture, right? We are now, earlier it was verticals, it was functions, and they were standalone functions. Like we used to have swim lanes. So they were functions. Now there is a horizontal line that you need to be on top of that, right? You need to be on top of every tower. You need to be on top of every function. And that is where orchestration plays a major role. So anything, again, the layers of engagement have changed. It is no longer a development layer or a QA layer. It is mostly a customer facing layer, okay, a back office layer or a development layer or a support layer. So anything
Mhm.
that is customer facing will, according to me, will form the topmost layer. It could be support, it could be professional services, it could be call centers, right? I think they should synergize, and there has to be some solutioning done, or there has to be some strategy in the making that can work on those layers rather than the verticals now in today's world. So that
Right.
is where I see that happening, and I see it is all for the good, because now we have more visibility. We understand customer not only from their numbers available on the website, but also we do reality checks with our customers. We can do reality reviews, because if a customer has raised some concern as a support ticket, to how it is being developed, to how it is being delivered, and what is the business impact or the value that is adding on the prioritization and impact scale, is what matters. So that is where the shift has happened, I feel.
Definitely. And is there any emerging challenges that you believe a lot of customer experience organizations are maybe underestimating right now or maybe ignoring as things are continually evolving, especially with AI?
Yeah, yeah. See, I won't, again, we can talk about AI as a separate topic, but of course, the challenge is not because of AI. The challenge is because of the way we are receiving AI, right? So, the challenge right now that I feel, again, working with multiple partners, is mostly the stakeholder drifts, right? Sometimes we are working with a champion in the partner organization, but one fine day we come to know, okay, he's no longer serving the organization. Or sometimes, we're working on the roadmap, which is very lengthy, a year roadmap, and we have all successful releases, but contextually the roadmap changes overnight with some other feature coming into the market, some other technology taking over the priorities. So that, I think, we need to understand that before it is too late. So that is a bigger challenge, because it doesn't come with just reading the metrics, right? It doesn't come with your CSAT or NPS scores. They're all backward looking metrics. It actually comes with, again, like I said, layers of engagement, and how effectively we are leveraging the data, the metrics that is residing with our delivery teams, right? Even a simple Slack channel chat means a lot. It gives you a lot of information to synthesize, if you say. But doing so is a challenge, because it's not easier. Like I said, 360 review of any customer that you interact with. So it is easier said than done, but that is definitely a challenge, because that turns your roadmap, that turns your planning, that turns everything upside down. And then the only thing that you look for is the universal acceptance of the things that you've been delivering, because it is across multiple groups, and then one fine day it is just put on pause, and then you have no red signals on your reports,
Mm.
right? It is all green all over, but then it just stops one day. That is, and when you can analyze that, you can understand that, relate to that only when you're connected with the roadmap, and only when you're connected with the stakeholders at all levels, and you understand that.
Yeah. And I guess as customer expectations are kind of rapidly evolving as well, maybe they're having different goals than maybe they did a couple years ago. Do you think there's any legacy thinking that CX leaders are still over indexing, and what should be urgently reevaluated, I guess, as those customer expectations are changing?
Yeah, I think again, like I've said just now, I mentioned, I think the only thing that we are over indexing are some metrics. We are totally dependent on that. We feel that, okay, there are things we can automate, and then we can have very fancy reports, and we can have some great insights, right? Which is all good. That is an enabler. But then that doesn't, it cannot actually replace human, you have to humanize the entire output from those things. So I think we are over indexing. One is we are always focused on, if we have to take a feedback from our customer, we are always focused on the surveys or some NPS or CSAT that we've done, right? That is again a backward lagging data, is what I would say. But there has to be some proactiveness in terms of understanding, okay, what can come next, and that intelligence, that contextual intelligence resides with our team, the delivery teams. So it has to be a consistent and constant customer reality review internally, is what I would say. And we've started doing that for a couple of engagements, wherein what we do is, of course, this is all good data to have, all metrics and satisfaction scores and all those things. It is awesome to know that how satisfied your customer is with your services. But at the same time, there are some hints that we can pick along the journey. And we do business reviews, we do all the QBR theater, we do annual reviews and everything. But what we don't do is the reality reviews. So where, if the customer is not happy, or there is a chat wherein there is some grudge that has been mentioned, or customer is happy, and the delivery teams would know whether we are over engineering, whether this feature is really effective, it is really adding some business value, where should we stop, what is the feedback. So I think that contextual intelligence lies within our team, but we are not utilizing that. We are still focused on some lagging feedback, which may not be as useful, because the world of customer success definition itself is so dynamic these days. It changes every day.
Definitely. And in terms of proactivity, do you think there's any metrics that are able to kind of help out with that? Or is it always going to kind of be that human touch and connecting with customers one-on-one to kind of have that proactive approach versus just looking at those lagging metrics?
No, there can be improved metrics as well, but I'm not saying that these metrics are not good. They're very good, right? They are good insights. What I'm trying to say here is that metrics alone won't create values for us. What are we deriving? The meaning that we derive out of that. Okay, someone scoring 5 on 5, but shutting down the business with us next month is
Right.
not good, right? So this is where I mean that automation cannot do that, right? So synthesis of the information that we get from these metrics is important. A lot of things, right? Synthesis comprises of capturing those metrics, processing it, and then analyzing it, making some decisions, proactive decisions. So the last step is something that is missing. We capture the metrics, we process it, we analyze it. Okay, happy customer, bad customer, promoter, supporter, everything. But then, what next? So there has to be some decision making. Okay, even if the customer is a supporter, even then we should do the reality review of that customer and see that everything is aligned with the
Right.
objectives that we've set, right? That we started.
So I guess if I'm understanding correctly, it's a very good snapshot, but it's not necessarily the full picture in every scenario with every customer.
When it comes to metrics, yes, and that is any metrics, right? We need to act on it. And I think we, again, like I said, in the world of automation, so many things are, I can always run a survey of 10,000 people, but then what exactly is my goal? What exactly do I want? Do I just need ratings, or do I need to continue being their value partner? Is something that my action plan would depend on.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. And I guess right now, I do want to shift a little bit more to the AI side, Gen AI. As AI is reshaping every touch point right now across the board for many teams, how do you keep your team emotionally and operationally aligned with customer pain? And like you said, not just metrics or models.
Yeah. No, that is true. See, AI is the world now, the world and the world. Yeah, we are living AI. We are working AI. So AI is everywhere, and I think that is for the good. But we also have to understand that any form of automation, and it has always been right from the simplest of automation to the automation that Gen AI and agentic AI bring on the table. I think what we have to understand it that where is that automation needed, right? If we are looking to say democratize knowledge, if we are looking to scale up, some scaling up, AI is good. If we are looking to automate some mundane tasks so that we can free up our team members to strategize and to think. But the thin line, and then this automation is a transient thing. What if after everything is, you can't automate everything? If, and then there is a thin line. So you automate things, you get the insight, but that is what I was telling, that when you synthesize, that is where human touch is important, right? You can't have automated renewals, you can't have retentions, you can't have satisfaction without talking to your counterparts and your partners. So that is the thin line which we always keep that, and even in my teams we always talk about it, that okay, we've automated this scenario, we've automated this, but what is the value that it is bringing, and what next? Let's just analyze it, critically analyze it, and then we take the next steps. But that's what I feel. There's a thin line, but you have to understand that staying relevant, AI enables you, equips you to stay relevant. But staying relevant is always equated to the value that you are bringing to the table, and that is something that will come with constant and consistent human engagement with the partners.